Hey everybody, welcome back to Good Morning San Diego. Time now is 6:31. Numbers show the real estate market here in San Diego slowing down. Joining me now to weigh in on what he is seeing and the new trends is Jim Bottrell. He is the founder of the Jim Bottrell Real Estate Team and a frequent customer, frequent client, frequent guest on Good Morning San Diego. Mr. Bottrell, welcome back to you. Good morning. All right, here's my opening line. How is that line I just read, that the market the market is slowing down. Am I right to say that?
Yeah, the market's slowing down.
Why?
The number of sales are down, and they've been down in 23, 24, 25, but they're even down off of the 24 numbers, which isn't the greatest thing in the world. But it makes perfect sense because most people still have a 2.5% interest rate. They're not giving that up. I used to love my home, but now I love my interest rate. We're not moving. Inventory is up quite a bit, though. Inventory, the amount of houses for sale is up by more than 50% right now. So you remember probably around the end of March, you guys asked me, what's the market doing? And I said, well, honestly, it's kind of poised to do anything right now. And then about a month ago, I said it has shifted to the buyer's market. The buyers are having the power. Now I can say with concrete certainty, the market has shifted. The power has shifted from the sellers, which they're very unhappy about, to the buyers. It is a buyer's market.
Why?
Well, because there are more houses for sale than there are people willing to buy them.
That's simple.
That's it.
So your world is all about supply and demand, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So then, for buyers out there who now suddenly find themselves with more options and a more affordable, but they still have to deal with that nasty mortgage rate, right? I mean, so what's your advice to the people buying?
Well, okay, so there's a lot of advice out there. For the first time in a long time, there's a lot of inventory. Like, they actually can choose a house. We haven't been able to do that in a long time. But with that has come a new phenomenon this cycle of analysis paralysis, where they're now seeing a bunch of houses that are for sale and they're unwilling to actually make a move on one of them because they think, well, wait a minute, let's look at all these other ones, and what about the new ones that are coming on the market? And what I can say is that when you find a good house in a good neighborhood,
jump.
You got to jump on it, because still, even though houses are sitting, there are still houses that are priced right, good houses, priced right, good neighborhood. They're still going the first weekend, and they're still getting multiple offers. They're not getting 70 offers like we were getting back in 2021, but they're getting 2 or 3. Next piece of advice is get pre-qualified with a lender. Right? It doesn't cost anything. There's no cost, there's no obligation. Just go do it. People are always resistant to do it. They say, well, what if I don't qualify? It's like, well, what if you don't? It didn't cost you anything, but now you know, and a good lender will give you an action plan saying, okay, you want to be a homeowner. Here are 6 things to do in this order, and 6 months from now, you can be a homeowner. More advice for the buyers out there right now is if they get into a house, they actually can negotiate now. They haven't been able to negotiate for a long time. So you can do price, terms, concessions. And by concessions, I mean you can ask the seller to pay your closing costs. You can ask the seller to prepay the HOA for a year. You can ask the seller for a bunch of things. Don't do it all at once, though. Don't say, I want this much off the price. I want you to buy my rate down. I want you to pay my closing costs. I want you to, that's not going to work. Don't do all of those things. And the last thing is don't try and time the market. Because right now we have a window of opportunity for buyers where houses are a little bit cheaper, right? And they're coming down. Don't try and time it, because we know there's a conflict happening in the White House between Trump and Powell, the chairman of the Fed.
Yes,
and while the Fed does not dictate mortgage interest rates, he does heavily influence them. Now, Trump wants rates to come down. Powell wants rates to stay up. One of them is going to win, and Powell's term expires in May, and that's an appointed office. So regardless, interest rates are going to come down, and when they come down, watch a flood of buyers hit the market like that weekend. All right, and the buyer's market is over. It's a seller's market at that point in time. So there is a window of opportunity right now.
All right, well, so you've covered the buyer's side of things. What if you're on the seller's side of this deal and you got a house that's suddenly, you thought it was going to be on the market for hours, and now it's on the market for days and maybe perhaps even weeks
or even months.
Yeah,
it's very, very
So what do you say? What do you tell them?
Okay, so there's a lot of advice out there. You've got to look at what's going on. So if you brought your house to market, let's say 3-4 months ago, you might have been the only house on the market in your neighborhood. But today you're competing against 5, 6, maybe 10 houses, and they're your competition. You have to understand that the market has changed. You cannot look at what your neighbor's house sold for even 3 months ago and think your house is worth that much. You've got to adjust your strategy. We can adjust our strategy, but we can't adjust the market. And testing your price in a market, in a buyer's market right now, let's see if we can get this. In a buyer's market is not the time to do that. Just don't try and do that, because what's going to end up happening is you're going to be the highest bidder on your own home.
Yeah. All right, I don't know. Is there something psychological that happens when you see a home that's been on the market a long time? You just start to think, oh, there's something that something
wrong with it.
And it might just be as simple as it was priced too high.
Yes, that's exactly right.
It's usually the case, right?
Yeah, I was talking to somebody in the green room earlier, and he says, so, you know, because we were talking about this, and he says, so can I come in and say that the house is $500,000? Can I say, hey, here's $475,000? I said, that might work, but it depends on how long the house has been on the market. Because if the house, let's say it was a $450,000 house, the condo or something, and they've got it listed for $500,000, and you offer $475,000, $25,000 more than it's worth. If that house just hit the market, they're not going to accept the $475,000 because in that seller's mind, they believe that house is worth $500,000, and the market is going to have to prove them wrong. But the longer your house sits on the market, the less it's worth. It's just when I used to, you know, I show houses, people would walk inside a house and they'd light up and think, this is great. And the kids are running around the bedrooms, you know, fighting over the bedrooms and stuff. And then the people would ask me about the house and I would tell them, and they'd always ask, well, how long has it been on the market? And if I said 64 days, you know, now they're thinking, what's wrong with it?
Yeah, that makes me nervous.
But if it was 64 days and they're thinking, what's wrong with it? But if I said it hit the market yesterday, if it hit the market yesterday, that enthusiasm stays. But if it's 64 days, that enthusiasm isn't there. Now if they move forward, they're moving forward a position of caution. Well, who pays more for a house? Excited people or cautious people? Your house is always worth more at the beginning, and it's so important to price your house right, win that next buyer that comes into the market, do whatever you need to do. Don't get stuck being that high asking price person, because you're going to sit on the market for too long and your house is just going to end up selling for less.
Oh boy, informative session with Jim Bottrell. And imagine anybody out there with questions, they can find you very easily.
Yeah.
All right, Jim, thanks for rolling in, and I know it's a busy day of showing homes, I'm sure. I bet you're pedaling harder now than you've
Yeah,
another.
We're all working harder.
Yeah.